was there anything specific that you learned from this past game that you can take into the next week against the LA Rams here?
Yeah, there's always stuff you can take from each week, good and bad, and but you play different teams every week, and so sometimes the coaching points can be a little different.
Christian, you're facing the Rams. There's always a big rivalry with this franchise. You were introduced to it. You had a big game, 3 touchdowns, I believe, down in LA. What did that kind of teach you about the rivalry and the division between these guys?
Yeah, it's a big, any division game is a big deal, and so this one's obviously big, like they all are. So the intensity and the urgency have to be there all week in the preparation, so we can come out and execute at a high level on Sunday.
Christian, from a fan perspective, many are asking, why did they make a deal during the trade deadline and get some defensive help? From a player's perspective, how do you guys look at the fact that the team didn't make a move?
I personally don't look at that stuff. Those guys, they're hired for a reason. They have a job and they're obviously really good at it. And for me, I just don't focus on that stuff. It's the guys that you go out there and play with are the guys that you feel confident playing with. And I think everybody in this team can play. And I'm fired up about our team and where we're at, and we just got to keep rolling. Obviously losing guys is tough. And it's never easy, but you see the kind of depth that you have and guys who have stepped up and come out here and done a really good job. And once again, I haven't thought of it until you just asked that question, but it shows me that they have confidence in the guys that we have.
Christian, are you able to speak to the resilience of the team, being that you guys have lost so many, stars on the team? Have any new voices emerged in the locker room? I know last year when it got tough, that's when Diamador Lenore kind of found his voice in the locker room. Have you seen that so far this season as far as leadership and resilience?
Yeah, definitely. I think this is a special team where you have a lot of guys who kind of understand what the standard is, and whether you're a vocal guy or not, we've seen guys step up on the field. A guy like Upton Stout has stepped up since OTAs. He hasn't said a lot, but you watch him play, and his play speaks for itself. But watching how Tatum has kind of controlled the linebacker room since Fred's been out has been awesome. Just seeing young guys step up has been cool to see. But the standard will always be the standard, no matter who's stepped up or not.
Christian, George was talking about with youth and injuries on defense. It's offense's responsibility to score at least 30 points a game. I don't know. Do you agree with that? And do you feel like there's a need to assume more of the burden?
Well, why not 40? We score 50 a game. Yeah, no, it's. I think football's funny because I think, and I don't mean to downplay your question, but sometimes when guys get hurt, people act like there's like a new level of urgency that has to come, and I really don't know. There's always a high level of urgency in this game, whether or not you got all your dogs or not. It's a violent game, and you have to come every Sunday with a certain mindset, and that's the way I approach it. But I think to George's point, you don't have. Once again, I say this acting like you might have room for error, but you really never have room for error. Every football game in the NFL is tough. That's why it's, the NFL. Everyone's good, and, you can win every game or you can lose every game. And so it's really just about keeping the standard high and doing your job each and every day so that Sunday you feel confident enough to go out there and play your best football. But obviously, scoring 30 is awesome. I'd love to do it every week.
Christian, what's your mindset in the end games with social finishing games, carries, and everybody knows you're going to run? You just think 2 hands on the ball and over. Would you take those finishing carries?
Yeah, definitely. I think, mindset is whatever the run play is called, to keep your eyes on the read. Make sure you're executing whatever the play is called, and always just trying to break tackles, finish forward. That's from the start of the game to the end of the game. That's the mindset.
Christian, you guys have been on the road a lot this first half of the season. From a rest perspective, how nice is it to have a few weeks to go?
Oh, it's huge. Yeah, I think that's another thing. We've had 3 home games in 9 weeks, so being able to have one at home is awesome.
Everybody's obviously tough, but how much have you been impressed by Mac's toughness? We see it every week. He's bloody, he's gimping around. What have you thought of?
Man, he's been awesome. Yeah, he's been unbelievably tough, poised in the huddle. A great leader, great guy to have as your quarterback, and just a lot of fun to play with him.
Some of your offensive players said that sometimes when he goes down, it's almost a little scary because you're not sure where he's going to get really involved, and then he bounces back.
Yeah. I think when we first started playing with him and he was down a couple times, you obviously get really worried. But now when he goes down, you almost, knock on wood, but I just always feel like Mac's going to get back up and find a way to go out there and play.
What has allowed you to sustain this kind of workload at this stage in your career? Obviously, running backs, the shelf life is relatively short. For you, what have you done to kind of put yourself in a position?
Look, I feel blessed. I think I work really hard. I got a great team around me, but at the end of the day, I feel anytime I get to step on the field, I don't take it for granted, and thank God every chance I get.